leading into the potential default for the U.S. government, this is when Bitcoin needs to shine, right? We saw it shine or start to shine with the banking crisis. The potential for a default should be seeing even more price action to the upside. So these are the things I watch as a technical trader. Is if we're not getting a bigger move later this month in Bitcoin, I would start to get very, very bearish.
Hey guys, welcome back to Library of Wealth. Today we have veteran trader Gareth Soloway giving us the latest market update, as well as the current direction for Bitcoin and the big move we're expecting in the next few weeks. Soloway notes that Bitcoin is facing a significant resistance level that will see the price finally rising above 30,500 and heading straight into the mid-40s. Soloway believes that the markets are very close to a major pivot and sees a potential pullback coming if the rally doesn't show itself in the next 3 days. Let's get right into the latest interview with Gareth Soloway as he gives his prediction for Bitcoin and the crypto market in the coming weeks. Before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content we do here on this channel. Let's get right into the video.
And you're right, here's the chart. We have that trend line that I had in last time we discussed it, right at that 30,500 level. We pierced it briefly a couple times and then came right back in. And we've really gone into this sleeper mode. If you go back to, mid-March, we're still sideways in this 27 to 30,000 range. So to me, this is a level that is still reminiscent of a bear market rally. If we get above, like I said last time, above that 30,500 level, we can start to talk about maybe the low was 15.7. But as of now, I don't see that, and I still see speculation. I mean, in trading markets, including commodities and cryptocurrencies and stocks and everything else, bottoms are made when there's massive amounts of fear, and people are very skeptical initially when something takes off. With Bitcoin, it hasn't been like that. We've seen the speculation in Pepe coin and all these other meme coins. It's a casino, and that's not the sign of a bottom. In addition, I look at what's going on with the government regulation. The government's purposely holding back regulation until they launch their CBDC, which then brings into the question of, is Tether even worthwhile anymore? Is USDC, is that even worthwhile if you have a CBDC that's basically fulfilling that job? Right. Does that have an impact on the cryptocurrencies as well? And then you go to the stock market. And again, I go back to the speculation, the valuations. Apple's trading at a 28 forward PE. That's ludicrous. We have to see speculation come down. I think the stock market comes down, and therefore it brings crypto down too. I actually have a very bearish outlook for the second half of this year. I'm actually looking at a correction of as much as 20% in the S&P 500. The charts are telling us this too. I mean, if we just look purely at the S&P 500, in fact, let's go right to that chart right now. What we see is a chart that had a big drop following the 2021 highs in in January of 2022. We saw the big drop. We've then seen complacency take hold. And this is really important for investors to understand. This is the way tops are made. You have this euphoria, which we saw in 2021 in all markets, including stocks and cryptocurrencies. You then have a dip, and then you have sideways consolidation. If you look at, first of all, the cycles, you have a cycle here where we're due for a corrective move. It's been an elongated bull market. If you go back to 2009, it's all due to Federal Reserve printing of money and low interest rate policy, essentially they were just dropping money left and right, free money and printing money. The government was sending out checks. And then you look at what's happening now. Yes, inflation, we saw the CPI data come in a little bit, but it's not going to get back to 2%. It's just there's too many issues. The first drop from 9.5% to where we are now at 4.9, that's the easy amount. That's the easy drop. That was supply chain. The problem is wages have gone up, and it becomes very sticky. Once those wages go up, it's very hard to get that genie back in the bottle. So you're looking at inflation that probably stays at 3% for multiple years, and that essentially handcuffs the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is going to be very, very careful and wary of printing money or lowering interest rates with inflation, let's say at 3 or 3.5%, because they're going to worry it's going to be a big pop to 15% as the next result. So without printing of money, this market has not been a real market for a long period of time. And when the investing public realizes that the Fed's not going to come to the rescue, that's when you see real panic set in. But the key is here is that when you see the rescues for the banks, that's not inflationary, right? They're basically making sure the banks aren't blowing up. They're making sure depositors are made whole, but they're not printing money. In fact, you could argue that what's going on with the banks is actually the banks are tightening credit. The banks are being more careful on lending, which is actually working to tighten monetary policy via the banks. So it's interesting, you're right, that they have come to the rescue of banks, but it's actually worked towards tightening versus loosening policy. Investors have been conditioned since '09 that the Federal Reserve, any sort of big hiccup in the economy, the Fed will come out and print money. And so what we see buy the dip continuing. We see it in crypto, we see it in stocks out there, and that's creating this false sense of security, or what I call complacency. At some point, that kind of mindset of the investor will shift dramatically. So again, to me, that's where the market has a lot of issues in the future over the next 6 to 12 months. And I think it's important for investors to understand what's really going on here with the U.S. government. The U.S. government is following the Chinese playbook. Now, the Chinese, what did they do? They banned Bitcoin. And they said, okay, let's launch a CBDC, the digital yuan. And they had to ban Bitcoin because they didn't want the competition for the CBDC. They wanted the digital yuan to gain traction and start to be used as a currency, which it is now. It's being intercontinental. We're seeing trade with China being conducted with many countries with the digital yuan, right? So that was their playbook. And now look at what China's doing. China's actually saying, okay, well, now we'll allow people to be involved in Bitcoin again because we have our foothold via the digital yuan. The U.S. isn't about to ban Bitcoin, right? That's not going to happen here. But how are they doing it? They're doing it in a different way. They're not allowing regulation. They're not giving any guidance on regulation. We know, is it a security? Is it not a security? Even Coinbase, right? Coinbase has said, hey, we may have to leave the U.S. They're suing the SEC to get clarity, and the government's just like, nope, we're not going to give you clarity. So this is the way the U.S. government is handling it until they launch their CBDC. So I'm in the full part now. Until we get a CBDC from the Federal Reserve, I don't think you're going to get regulation in the crypto markets in the United States. And that's done on purpose. They might have to end up moving if we don't get this CBDC to be launched and regulation fast enough. So it's a mess. But the bottom line is that there's a real threat. Governments view Bitcoin as a real threat, and they want to get their foothold. China did it. Now the U.S. is trying to do it.
Soloway expresses confusion over the recent price action of Bitcoin, which has failed to break out above 30,500, despite the dollar breaking major support. His technical analysis suggests that Bitcoin could potentially rally above 30,000 in the next few days. Soloway emphasizes the importance of waiting for this significant move before making any decisions on buying. With Bitcoin's potential for significant growth, it will be interesting to see how the crypto market responds to the bullish signal we've been watching for the past few weeks. What do you think about Gareth Soloway's Bitcoin prediction? And where do you see the crypto market heading in the next few weeks? Comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Library of Wealth. We'll see you in the next video.